Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci, and today we got a special edition of the podcast. We are talking about the NFC and the AFC divisional rounds, and I am pumped for this episode, mostly because I just did the 1 year anniversary Jake's Takes podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, I released that yesterday now on Monday. I'm recording this still on Monday, so it feels weird to say that, but I'm putting out that Jake's Takes podcast on Monday and this one on Tuesday. So today we're talking about the divisional rounds, really some unbelievable games. Aaron and I talked about a lot last week. We were like, man, maybe start to fade us. We did not pick the first round very well. Well, the second round, we were locked in, like all of our picks were right. I went 4-0. Aaron went 3-1. That Chiefs-Bills game was really a toss-up. So hard to blame anyone for picking the Bills in that one. That was just a sensational game, which we'll get into. But Lions, NFC Championship, let's go. We'll take that. A great game against the Bucks, big win there. The Chiefs able to beat the Bills. 49ers on Saturday were able to squeak out against the Packers, and the Ravens took care of business against the Texans. So we'll get into all of it. But first, I am going to cue the music. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with Saturday. Ravens-Texans. So I'm going to probably only go like 20 minutes on this stuff because, it's these games, they're kind of straightforward. I'll talk about as much as I can, talking about it. The Ravens were able to win this game 34-10. And Lamar Jackson deserves all of the flowers in the world. Okay, I talked a lot of bad stuff about him. Just the fact, it wasn't like bad stuff. It was just the fact that I wasn't convinced that he was this guy. But guess what? He is that guy. He is flat out unbelievable. And I said on the podcast, I said it with Aaron. I was like, if he wins this game, makes the AFC Championship, he's proved me wrong in everything I've said. And he just did that. So congrats to Lamar Jackson. He looked awesome in this game. If you only look at his passing, it was like 16 for 22, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty solid performance, but the running just makes this man unbelievable. 11 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. And if you watch him, he's just got so much command, and he creates plays that are just mind-bending. It's unbelievable. He's able to create things that are just ridiculous. He had that. Okay, this was only like a 1 yard gain, but it was just crazy. He broke 3 tackles on Houston, all these guys going after him on the Texans. And he broke 3 tackles and was able to get a 1 yard gain. And I was just like, that was the most impressive 1 yard gain I've seen in a long time. He looked just unbelievable. And that Ravens offense struggled at the beginning. So looking at the game cast or the recap just a little bit, the Ravens got the ball first and was able to go down after the Texans punted and get a field goal, with Justin Tucker. They were able to run the ball a little bit. They had some solid gains with Lamar, the huge first down run. And, he had a couple runs where he was able to get 12 yards. He had a pass to Odell Beckham Jr., had a pass to Rashad Bateman too. And then Tucker was able to hit that 53-yarder. So you're like, okay, solid start for the Ravens. And then it's just punt back and forth. And then the Texans start to move the ball near the end of the first quarter. They get down the field. Stroud's hitting some guys down the field. He had a solid gain to Dalton Schultz for 21 yards. He had a couple plays where you're like, okay, the Texans are starting to move the ball. And then Fairbairn hits a 50-yarder. And then just like that, the Ravens respond. This was near the end of the first quarter. Lamar had a solid gain of 23 yards to end the first. And they were able to keep getting stuff going. They had a 3rd and 1, and and Gus Edwards able to make the play for a 6-yard run. They were starting to get that physical tendency, and Lamar on a short 2nd and goal from the 3 is able to hit Nelson Aguilar for a touchdown. So 10-3, just like that. And you're like, okay, the Ravens could really start, pulling away with this. And then Texans punt, 3 and out. And then just like that, Lamar gets sacked, and the Ravens are forced to punt. And guess what? The Texans punt return touchdown. It's 10-10, crazy 10-10. And then nothing happens for the rest of the half. Tie game at halftime. And, you're watching, and I'm watching, and I'm like, this is the Lamar in the playoffs that we've seen time and time again. That's not good. And I mean, don't think I was rooting for Lamar to look like that. I was rooting for him to prove me wrong. Like, good for you. Like, I'm very happy for Lamar in the way he played in the second half. But I was scared. I was like, man, he's not looking like Lamar. And that's exactly how the Texans wanted to go. But the Texans weren't moving the ball against that defense. The Ravens defense, unbelievable. I love those linebackers. Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith are just ridiculous. They didn't even have Marlon Humphrey in this game. And the Ravens defense was just so physical on both. I mean, just insane. It made it so difficult. And then to start the second half, Lamar looks like Lamar. 3 straight touchdown drives, and it wasn't even close. Like, Lamar's just moving the ball at will. He had a pass short to Isaiah Likely on the first drive for 19 yards. Then he's able to create running gaps. Has a 3-yard run. Then right after hits Rashad Bateman 9 yards, and then scrambles up the middle for a 15-yard touchdown. Just unbelievable stuff from Lamar. After that, they scored again with I'm trying to get to these touchdowns here just to talk about them. They had a pass short to Isaiah Likely from the 15-yard touchdown. And then their other touchdown was another Lamar run. So Lamar had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. And in a stat line where you can have 152 yards passing with 0 interceptions is a big key. And then also add 100 rushing yards. To me, that's the equivalent of a 300-yard passing game with 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's the equivalent to me. And that's how Lamar played. He was just flat out unbelievable. And the Texans could not move the ball in the second half. This is no fault on Stroud or DeMeco Ryans. If you are a Houston Texans fan, like, this is a unbelievable feat for you guys, making the playoffs and getting a playoff win. Nobody expected them to beat the Browns. Nobody. And the fact that they were able to do it is just unbelievable and says a lot about their team. I'm actually, because I had my podcasting stuff out from before. I did a podcast on them hiring DeMeco Ryans and how I thought that this was going to be a great turnaround for the Texans. But the thing is I did not expect it to happen like so soon. Like, I just did not expect anything like this soon to happen, because it's so hard for the Texans to, for a turnaround to happen like that. It's just crazy. And I think it was, I'm trying to find it here. It was episode 5. Episode 5, I covered a lot in that. It was Tom Brady retiring, his impact on the game, blah, blah, blah. And then NFL news, I did the Sean Payton hiring and the DeMeco Ryans hiring and what I thought on each team, on each side. And I was very high on what he could do with this Texans team. I did not think he would take them to these heights. Like, this is really just a ridiculous season, and I got to give DeMeco Ryans so much credit for what he's done with this team. Really an unbelievable job, and they were missing a lot of their receivers. Like, the Ravens were able to shut down Nico Collins, and the Texans didn't have anybody left. Tank Dell was out for a while. All those guys just were injured, and for this season for the Texans, it was really great season, and they should not be feeling bad. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm super excited. Like, you guys are looking really good. The defense is awesome. I mean, Mike McDonald has done a fantastic job and will probably be a name to look out for in the coaching world. And, the Ravens are scary 100%. So, great win for the Ravens. Probably definitely the most dominant game, dominant performance of the weekend. So fantastic win for them, 34-10 in that one. Okay, other game on Saturday, Packers and 49ers. Now, this game was a sensational game, but I did not stay up for the whole game. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit and just what it means. Again, like I wasn't like crazy locked in for this whole game. I caught up as best I can to talk about it. So I'll talk about it a little bit. From the stat lines, Jordan Love, 194, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. From the first half that I watched, he looked great. You know, he looked in control in the pocket. He was doing some great stuff. And, you know, they were able to move the ball, and they continued to move the ball. But at the beginning of the game, what was huge for them was they were not able to finish with touchdowns. They had to kick a field goal, you know, and do all that. And Andreas Carlson really didn't end the game well with that missed field goal. But, I mean, looking at it that way, it was just like, you know, it was tough for them because they had 2 great drives. They were able to establish the run. What Aaron and I talked about that would be important for Green Bay is establishing the run, and they were able to do that. Aaron Jones had a great drive. They had a great drive, 14 plays, 58 yards, keeping it out of their hands. And then 49ers punt, and then the Green Bay stopped on downs. You know, they're going down the field. They're close at the 20, and then they try a QB sneak, and they get stopped. Okay, that was a huge drive in this game because San Francisco was able to go down the field, 12-play drive, score a touchdown, and then it's 7-6 at the end of the first half. Yes, first half. And then in the second half, you know, it's back and forth the whole way. And Green Bay's in control, doing some great stuff. And then San Francisco has a great last-minute drive. You know, sensational stuff from Brock Purdy in that offense. Getting down the field, they were able to establish the run with McCaffrey. McCaffrey had 2 second-half touchdowns that were great. George Kittle was great in this game. He had that first half touchdown where Brock Purdy threw a beautiful ball. A lot of what I'm hearing, and again, like I didn't watch the full game, so there's not much there, but a lot from what I'm hearing, Rosillo said it on his podcast, Bill Simmons said it on that podcast, the rain really messed with Brock Purdy's accuracy. And, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense completely, but it just shows you that Brock Purdy really isn't like crazy that guy. And Aaron and I talked about it when we talked about Lions 49ers if it were a matchup, because both of us had that as the NFC Championship game, and it will be the NFC Championship game. We both thought it was going to come down to a Brock Purdy possession. And you know, to be honest with you, like if it's wet, if it's rainy and there's a lot going against him, he's a guy where he could fold under the pressure. You know, we don't know. But in this game, he was able to step up and create a drive. And that's what they needed him to do. He was able to do it. Jordan Love wasn't able to do it. He tried to throw a crazy ball cross field and was intercepted by Dre Greenlaw, who would not go down. It was really funny. Would not go down. I saw a lot of tweets like he had to have the minus 9.5 spread and stuff like that. It was kind of funny there. But you know, the Niners able to sneak out of this game. Deebo Samuel is dealing with an injury, so that's going to be key looking at that Lions 49ers game, because the Lions have struggled against top receivers throughout the whole playoffs, which we'll get to with the Mike Evans performance. But, you know, with the Niners, I think they didn't look great. They were rusty. You know, having that bye definitely made them struggle. Probably not the best Shanahan game. You would expect them to score more points in this game. The Niners got away with one, so they're definitely going to need to be on their A game to play Detroit. And, you know, it's definitely going to be a very interesting game. Aaron and I talked about it forever, you know, just discussing so many ways that game could go. So I'm excited for that one. And this game was a great game. I wish I was able to stay up for it, but sometimes, you know, you can't stay up for the game. So that Niners game, great win there. You know, awesome there. All right, Lions, Bucks. Okay, 31-23 Lions win. And this game was awesome, okay? It was a big win for Detroit. Kind of everything Aaron and I said would happen happened. Baker was able to throw on us, 349, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He threw 41 passes in the game, the thing that shocked me was the fact that the Bucks were able to run the ball on the Lions, which is a little scary because the Bucks haven't been able to run the ball on anybody all year. Rashad White had 9 carries, 55 yards. Chase Edmonds added 20 yards rushing. Not a great omen for going up against a great team like whatchamacallem. A great team like the 49ers, with Christian McCaffrey. So I think that's definitely going to be a challenge for Detroit, dealing with a running back like that, especially coming off of a terrible performance against the run against the Bucks, because you would expect Detroit with the second best run defense. That's the strength of their defense. That's, we've been saying it all year. That's why the Lions defense has been able to come up with the great stops. And you can't let both happen against a team like the 49ers that are complete, and I think it's going to be vital for Detroit to stop the run against the 49ers in that one. Looking at some of the guys that were fantastic for Tampa Bay, Mike Evans was just tremendous. 8 receptions, 147 yards, a touchdown, added by Cade Otton, the tight end, 5 receptions, 65 yards, a touchdown. That they were great. And Baker did his best, could they got the ball back down 8, from their own 10. And I'm looking at that, and I was nervous. I was 100% nervous because the Bucks just kept hanging around in this one, and it felt like the Lions were just letting them hang around. But once the second half happened, the Lions offense really got going. And looking at the play-by-play and some of the drives, you could definitely tell that they were getting the run game going. Near the end of the third quarter, about midway through, they were able to get a 10-play, 64-yard touchdown drive. Jahmyr Gibbs was fantastic in the second half. They had a 4th and goal at the 1, and Dan Campbell, of course, decides to go for it, and they run it with Craig Reynolds for a touchdown. And then Tampa Bay responds, going down the field, scoring a touchdown. Baker had a good pass to Rashad White for that touchdown. But Detroit then just goes right back down, scores another touchdown. And this was a Jahmyr Gibbs drive where he had a pass short for 12 yards. And then Jared Goff was able to hit Josh Reynolds, who was great in this game, in the middle for 18 yards. And then out of the no huddle, they kept running that Buccaneers defense, getting them tired. And Jahmyr Gibbs with an 8-yard run. And then right after that, Jahmyr Gibbs breaks free for a 31-yard touchdown. He's so fast. He's awesome. Ever since I saw him in that first Chiefs game, and I talked about it after that Chiefs game, he's been one of my favorite guys. I mean, he's just insane. I still don't love taking a running back in the first round, but Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome, and I'm very happy we have him. And then the Lions defense forcing a big 3-and-out, forcing Baker to make some tough decisions. And then the Lions with a long 10-play drive, 89-yard drive, and really just a sensational drive. Jared Goff looked fantastic near the end of this game. Absolutely fantastic. He had a great pass to Amon-Ra for that touchdown, making it 31-17. The Bucks try to go for 2. Debatable whether that's a pass interference. I didn't think it was. I really didn't, because I just didn't think there was enough contact. A lot of people thought that Mike Evans should have exaggerated the contact a little more. I don't know. I really don't know. But to me, it wasn't pass interference because they didn't call it. So why not? And then the Lions punted, giving the Bucks another chance. But Baker threw the interception. Great play by Brooks, and the Lions are in the NFC Championship game. So looking at it from the Bucks' perspective here, really a good season. A team that's not really supposed to be there. Same with the Packers. Both teams were 9-8, and the Packers just have nothing but greatness to look forward to. They're going to be the sleeper team all year next year. Everybody's going to be like, "Oh, watch out for Green Bay." They're going to be looking great. Same with the Bucks, a little bit different, because the defense is getting older. They got Winfield, they got Levante David, they got Devin White, all guys that have done stuff in their past, and they're getting a little older. Vita Vea as well. So that team will definitely be interesting. And then with the Packers, like the defense is probably the question, and we'll see who they bring in, but they still got Matt LaFleur. They still got that great old line. The old line play in that game was incredible. And they got some good weapons at the receiver. Romeo Dubs was fantastic. Jaden Reed, really insane. A lot of Aaron's sleepers in the NFL draft were really just sensational throughout this whole year. I mean, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jaden Reed, all were big names in these playoffs. So really great job by Aaron there. But Bucks Lions here, looking at it from the Bucks perspective, probably shouldn't have been there. Great job winning the NFC South. And big win. You got a playoff win. You beat an Eagles team that made the Super Bowl the year before. That's just a great thing to say. Even though that Eagles team probably had just given up on the season, it's still a huge win, flat out huge win. So if you're a Bucks fan, you should be very happy with how this season played out. And you played with the Lions. The Lions were just clearly the better team. And on paper, that's kind of what I thought. It was hard for me to find something to be scared of other than Mike Evans. And Mike Evans torched us, and the Lions still were able to win. So great win for the Lions there. Looking at Lions 49ers, it's the same thing Aaron and I talked about. It's going to be Lions need to be able to move the ball. They need to be able to play to their strength, which is their offense, and they need to be able to contain the run. Christian McCaffrey versus that run D of the Lions is the matchup to look out for on the 49ers offensive side. And then on the Lions offensive side, it's going to be getting Jared Goff and Amon-Ra going, and then getting some form of a run game going against that great defensive front. Got to win that O-line battle. They lost Jonah Jackson in that game, which is a huge loss. Frank Ragnow is now dealing with some injuries, which is huge. The O-line is going to be banged up. It's going to be very important for Montgomery and Gibbs to establish the run to help that Lions offense really get going to start the game. All right. So now we got Chiefs-Bills. Okay, and I got to talk about this a little bit. The Chiefs were able to sneak out of this game 27-24. This was exactly what Aaron and I predicted. Just a back and forth, ridiculous matchup. And this was so much fun to watch. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs looked like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And Josh Allen played probably one of the better games I've seen him play in the playoffs. And he looked so much better than what we've seen Josh Allen look in the past. Like, he protected the ball. He was great running. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's 186, a touchdown, and 72 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. Some people are going to tell you he choked in the biggest moment, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. He played great. I thought he played awesome. And I've been very hard on Josh Allen in the past. If you protect the ball and play a good game, then I'm going to blame other people instead of you. It's just the truth, because I don't know what else Josh Allen can do. Stephon Diggs dropped the ball down the field, which was a great ball from Josh Allen. He had another one to Sherfield down the field, great ball. Sherfield couldn't pull it in. There's just plays after plays after plays where it's just like, that's not Josh Allen's fault. You can't blame everything on the quarterback unless they turn the ball over. It's just the truth to me. And, the other game, the 13 seconds game, isn't his fault either. I was just mad at the Bills fans for, complaining so much as they did, and the NFL actually did something. You've heard my take on that a lot. The NFL didn't do anything when the Chiefs had the same thing against the Patriots, and then they did something because Bills fans complained about it. But, with the Bills, Shakir was awesome. 7 receptions, 44 yards, a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid's awesome. I think he's going to be like a mini Kelsey coming in the future. And the Bills were able to run the ball. That is huge to help Josh Allen because it allows him to take care of the ball. He still threw 39 times, and they really controlled time of possession. But the Bills' defense was so injured. Like, you can tell in this game, the Bills were probably the better team, even while their defense was injured, but one team had Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes was playing against that injured defense and absolutely dealing. He was dealing, that offensive line kept him so clean. Creed Humphrey, the center, is really good. They used a 2nd round pick on him. He's awesome. Joe Tooney is awesome. The O-line played great in this game. Isaiah Pacheco was able to get going. They were running him really well. And this was just a back and forth game throughout the whole game, and the Chiefs were able to get it done. Just unbelievable there. Pacheco had the great touchdown in the fourth quarter. Shakir had a touchdown. Kelsey had 2 touchdowns in this game. Kelsey looked really good and then kind of died down in that fourth quarter. Kind of some crazy events in the fourth quarter where the Bills fake a punt on 4th and 5, which is kind of a crazy call. Romo tried to back it up. He was like, oh, they faked the punt because there was 10 guys on the field for the Chiefs and they thought they would be able to do it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just don't think you fake a punt in that situation. I really don't. And the Chiefs were going down, and then Andy Reid calls a kind of crazy call where he just does a pitch play instead of just running the ball with Pacheco, which has been working. He does a pitch play to McCole Hardman, who goes to the side and then fumbles it out of bounds. And guess what? It's Bill's ball, and, the Chiefs were able to continue getting stops, and they got the stop that was needed and were able to win the game. Mahomes played great in this game, 17 for 23, 215, 2 touchdowns, nothing insane. He ran the ball for 19 yards. I mean, nothing insane. Like, it wasn't crazy, but he just looked so in control. And they didn't have the ball all game. So, that's part of it too. Like, he didn't really need to put up those crazy numbers. But the fact that he had 215, 2 touchdowns, that's a great game. Pacheco had 15 carries, 97 yards, a touchdown, was just running all over them. Kelsey with 5 receptions, 75 yards. Rashee Rice, 4 receptions, 47 yards. Another just great game from the Chiefs. Great game. That's kind of like all you can really say. I thought the Bills were a little injured. Josh Allen played a monster game. James Cook was great. Their run game was great. I just thought, the Bills receivers could have made some bigger plays. They weren't able to. Sean McDermott with some of his defensive play calling, he just ran out of guys. They came into the game with 4 linebackers, and that's just a tough situation to play with. The Bills played the game right. They had time of possession. They had all of that, but the Chiefs defense was just able to get stands when needed. They were able to stop them on 3rd down. Willie Gay was awesome. I can't believe he went out with an injury during that game. A huge injury loss for them. L'Jarius Sneed at the corner was amazing. Karlaftis was great inside. Chris Jones is just awesome. I've talked about this Chiefs defense, how the Chiefs are now built on that defense, and it showed because they were on the field way more than that Chiefs offense. And guess what? They were able to make plays. And that is just huge when it comes to NFL football now. So I'm really interested to see how they match up with the Ravens. That game is going to be so much fun. I thought they did an awesome job of almost limiting the run a little bit. Josh Allen was still able to have a monster game running with 72 yards. They're definitely going to have to clean some of that up against Lamar. But when it came to the second half, there was a couple plays where Chris Jones and Karlaftis would just sit and not even rush, And if those Chiefs corners can play as well as they have with Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed, and guard the Ravens receivers, it's going to be difficult for Lamar to find things. Lamar's so fast and can create so many things, but if the Chiefs offense continues to look like that, it's going to be scary. And it's going to be very hard for them to look like that against that Ravens defense that's so athletic and so difficult to deal with that linebacker core that did those D linemen. They're tough. But I'm looking forward to see that matchup, and I really think that game is going to be a game for the ages because the Ravens look awesome. The Chiefs look like the old Chiefs in that game, and I'm really looking forward to this. That game is going to be so much fun. It's hard to bet against Mahomes. I've been saying it since last year when I had the Chiefs win it all. And, that's the thing. It's going to make it really interesting, and I'm looking forward to that one 100%.